Welcome to another episode of Let's Wine About It, the only podcast where we have a conversation over a glass or multiple glasses of wine. And I have the privilege and the honor to have a very special guest, our very own Melissa Expósito. And Mel, welcome to our podcast. What an
Thank
honor
you.
to have you here.
Thank you so much, Andrea. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh my God. So what are we drinking today? We're drinking a tempranillo and we're at a very special place. One of our sponsors, Mesa Mar Restaurant in Coral Gables, Miami. And it's such an honor to have you here. Salud. Welcome.
Salud, Andrea.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Let's taste this tempranillo from 2001, 100% tempranillo.
It's delicious. I beat you to it.
Yeah, that's great. So Mel is a powerhouse in the music industry in Latin America. And Mel, what a career you've had over the last 15, 17 years?
Like 20 years.
20 years.
Unbelievably so.
And I have to make a disclosure. We go way back many, many, many years ago when we were practically teenagers, right? You were a teenager.
We were underage.
And you were not able to drink back then at the back
True story.
when we met. And what a journey you've had, what a career you've built. I have to tell you, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Andrea.
You're so
likewise.
So we were colleagues it was my first job back then at Burson Marsteller, major multinational PR agency.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to work together.
Yes.
And what an evolution from PR back then. You were building your first steps in the industry, and then share with our audience what you learned from those early days in the PR world.
Yes. Well, it was my first job too.
Mm-hmm.
I was a freshman in college, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I was a freshman at the University of Miami. I was a communications major. And Andrea was my boss. I was an intern at the big PR firm. I was very lucky to get this internship, which was a valuable work-life experience. We worked, I remember, in the technology practice.
Yes, that's right.
And my job consisted of basically translating documents. This was pre-ChatGPT.
Yes.
And, but all kidding aside, it was a wonderful experience. I think I learned the importance of relationship building. I learned the importance of communicating in a thorough and in an eloquent way, both orally and written. And that was truly the foundation for the rest of my career. At the time, I didn't know where life would take me, but I loved working at Burson. I think I was there like 2 years, right?
Yes, yeah.
Approximately. And I had the privilege of getting to know Andrea, which I think was the best part of that job.
Yeah.
And we built a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, that's right.
And, Andrea's very modest. She's a powerhouse herself. And she went from being my boss at Burson Marsteller, not a very glamorous job, to owning her own amazing business. And now podcast host.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored. And the best thing is that we always share over a glass of wine. Right?
Yes. Absolutely. We've shared many glasses of wine over the years.
Yes, that's right. And Mel, then you decided to take an unusual route. You went into law school.
I did go to law school. I'm going to be honest about why I went to law school. I graduated with my communications degree, right? And I started looking at my work options. And it was tough. It was tough to get started in the world of communications. Working at an agency at the time, this was early 2000s. It was, maybe $30-something thousand a year salary. And when I started to do the math, I was like, how am I going to live with this? I lived at home with my parents, and I really wanted to leave. I was doing the math, and I'm like, I can't leave with $30,000 a year. So my parents said, you should continue to study. You should do something else. And I said, okay. What can I do? I'm horrific at math. And, reading and writing has always come easy to me. So I decided to take the LSAT and kind of on a whim. And I did well. And I got a scholarship to go to the School of Law. And I said, why not? Let's give it a try. So I did. I went to law school. I graduated from law school, but I've never practiced law.
Yeah. but you talked about something that is really, really important, and it's building on your strengths.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes we especially as women, we're so hard on ourselves that we gotta be perfect at everything that we do, right? And but you built on your strengths, writing, and you're one of the best writers that I've
thank
come
you.
across. You built on your strengths, but that took you into a different path.
Completely different path. So I had a bit of ADD, right? So while I was interning at Person, I was also freelancing on the TV production side and on the concert production side. I very early on in college, I started working at award shows, at Latin award shows, and I met, in addition to Andrea, one of my very first mentors. His name is Tony Perotti. He's the owner of Acme Production Services. Shameless plug. And he took me under his wing, and I learned everything about live show production, which quite honestly was fascinating to me because I loved the adrenaline of it. You know, no matter what happens, the show must go on.
Yeah.
I loved thinking on your feet. I loved the diversity of, you know, from project to project, everything was different. And I ended up doing that for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Working in production, you know, traveling, doing concert tours, doing live shows, doing events. It was a great school. It taught me to think on my feet. It taught me to solve problems. It also taught me, once again, the importance of relationship building. You know, to this day, I have so many great friends that I met during that time in my life. It was a great job too for a 20-something-year-old. You know, you got the chance to travel while you made money and to work, you know, hands-on and to see the fruits of your labor really quickly, right? You work really hard for a few weeks, you put on a show, and then wow, it's there, right?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. People say, you know, you get bitten by the showbiz bug. It's completely true. I never looked back. I've worked in media or entertainment in some shape or form throughout my entire career from that point forward. Which is why I never practiced law.
Yeah, but you specialized in entertainment law.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way law school works, you don't pick a major like you do in undergrad. You do law school like everybody else, but I did purposely select the electives and the classes that were related to entertainment law. And I was the head of the Entertainment and Sports Law Society, which was fun. So I got to meet a lot of lawyers that were in the field and people, executives who were not lawyers, right? You know, music executives and TV and film executives. And I learned that was definitely a field that was of interest to me. But I've always been creative, and I've always been on the creative side of things, right? I loved writing. I loved producing, which is what I was doing. And I felt that I needed that creative outlet in my life, right? In my professional life. So I didn't see myself just being a lawyer. I mean, not to diminish being a lawyer, because I think a lot of creativity and unique problem solving skills obviously go into being a lawyer. But it just wasn't for me.
Yes, right. But how amazing that you graduated around 2009. And for those of us a little bit older, we remember what happened in 2009. It was a very hard year, 2008, 2009.
Yes.
It was a recessionary year.
Yes.
That a lot of youngsters nowadays have never gone through a recession. And how do you face, you know, getting out there with your law degree and all this experience that you have built in a recessionary environment?
Yes. No, it was tough. I mean, we finished law school May of 2009. You know, by the time you sit for the bar and you find out whether you passed or not, it's almost the end of the year, right?
Right.
And then you go out and you try to find a job. And, you know, like anybody who makes the investment of going to a professional school, like law school, you say, okay, I need to find a job as a lawyer now. Even though in my heart of hearts, I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. I set out to go find a job, right? And I was unpleasantly surprised to find out that there weren't that many jobs out there, right? It was a difficult time in the economy. I had a lot of classmates that were attorneys like myself that were working, doing completely unrelated things because you just couldn't find meaningful work in a lot of areas. And I was still working in production, and I went ahead and I leveraged that. I continued to work in production and continued to work on those relationships that I had built as a producer. And it gave me the ability to transition into my current company now.
Right.
Because I built on those relationships and I found an incredible opportunity
Wow. One of the things that I've always admired you is how much of a hustler you are. You never stay silent or not being in movement and in action, which is great. But you're a Miami girl.
I am.
But so cheers to that.
Yay.
To the
305
heritage.
till we die.
Yeah, 305. But I think one of the greatest strengths, Mel, that you have, it's that you speak Spanish perfectly. You're
Thank you.
so fluent in Spanish. And if you can share with our audience a little bit the advantages of really, especially now for our younger generation, they don't see necessarily the value in speaking a second or a third language. And I would love your perspective when it comes to being multicultural and how much it has added, hopefully, to your career.
Absolutely. My dad would be so proud. Thank you for that, Andre. So yes, I am fully bilingual. I think I can actually think in Spanish in the same way and with the same speed that I can think in English, which I think is what actually qualifies as being truly bilingual.
Yeah.
That didn't happen overnight. I grew up as the daughter of first generation immigrants. So it was a requirement to speak Spanish in my house, right? If my sister and I sat at the dinner table and we did it speaking Spanish, our parents would say, we don't understand you. Even though they did, they would say, we don't understand you, because they would force us to practice our Spanish and to learn. And it definitely has paid off. I think every job I've ever had, I've had to use my Spanish in some shape or form. In some jobs, like my current job, I think I speak more in Spanish than I do in English. Why not, speak more than one language, right? The more languages you speak, the more opportunities. I wish I spoke 3-4 languages. In college, I took a little bit of Portuguese, so I can understand Portuguese and I can read Portuguese, but I don't have as much practice speaking it, so I'm a terrible Portuguese speaker. I remember when we worked together, we also had some accounts that were Portuguese only.
Yeah.
And I remember also reviewing those documents and working on those presentations with you. And you also speak Portuguese.
Yes.
And I remember you used to lend me your books in Portuguese so I could practice my reading.
That's right.
So absolutely, I love languages. I think the more languages you speak, the better. And you shouldn't be ashamed of where you come from or what your roots are. It's important to embrace them. I think now more than ever, younger generations are exhibiting a lot of pride about where they come from. And I've never seen, mainstream media and mainstream music embrace heritage and culture in the same way that it is doing so today. Artists like Bad Bunny with his latest production, Debí tirar más fotos. What a beautiful tribute, to his heritage. And I think situations like that or projects like that, better said, have really awoken this pride, right, in heritage and in culture. And I hope it continues because it's beautiful. And we all have to pay tribute to who we are and where we come from. I think it's the last thing we can forget.
And I think you and I both feel very proud about it, but it's also our job to instill that pride in our kids.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because they should not feel ashamed to speak in Spanish.
Yes.
Right? And that's something that I admire what your parents did. No te entiendo, right?
I don't understand. See, now my husband and I tell our daughter, we don't understand.
That's great.
But I have to admit that I'm not as strict as my parents were. I do speak to her in English quite a lot. And I allow her to speak to me in English quite a lot. And, I catch myself and I'm like, oh, you have to be better at it. But thankfully, she speaks Spanish pretty well. And she goes to a school that's fairly bilingual, although not officially bilingual, but I think she gets a lot of opportunities to practice it, which is very positive. And I keep pushing her to try to pick a third language to start to learn. I hope in the next few years, as she gets older, she really takes that on because it's a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I've seen you grow up. And let's talk for a moment about motherhood and how hard it is. That's something that nobody or very few people talk about it. Like how hard it is, how challenging. Mel has seen my 3 kids basically be born almost and grow before her eyes. And it is very hard. It is, and we tend to be very hard on ourselves.
Oh my
right?
gosh, yes.
When it comes to motherhood, and how do you? I don't like the term balance. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that we balance anything. On at least I don't. I don't balance anything. There's some.
It's all a myth.
Yeah, there are some times when I'm better at my work, my company, and
Mhm.
there are some times when I dedicate more time to my kids, but there is no balance.
Mhm.
At least I don't have it. But how has been your journey being a mom, a super powerful executive, head of a division of a major multinational uh, music label
Mhm.
company? What learnings do you have to share with our audience?
Oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question. I think the biggest learning is to forgive yourself, to be, to give yourself grace, right? I think as
And drink
women,
plenty of water.
and drink mom juice.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we need it by the case.
No, absolutely. And I think that, and it takes a village, right? I think I'm eternally grateful to my mother and my family that has supported me,
Yeah.
and to my husband, who's an incredible partner. And I couldn't do what I do without them.
Yeah.
It truly does take a village. That age old saying is truer today than ever. It's hard. It's definitely hard. It's not impossible. I think I don't know if balance is the right word, but as I've gotten older, I have learned that the only place where you truly cannot be replaced is at home, right?
Yeah.
Um, and something that I love to tell my team, and they laugh at me sometimes, but I'm dead serious, is, what we do isn't rocket science. We're not saving anybody's life, right?
Yeah. That's
Nobody's going to die. Nobody's going to be, severely injured as a result of, a song not coming out on time, or a campaign not, coming out the right way. I mean, we all take our job very seriously, and we want to succeed, and we want to do things the right way. But, sometimes something's got to give, right? Like you said. And, I always try to be there for my daughter. I don't always succeed, but I make the effort. And I've learned over the years to give myself grace and not to feel guilty when I'm not there for her, or when I'm not there for my job, right? Because sometimes, one thing's got to give, and you have to be smart about which one gives when, right?
And it's amazing how much guilt we carry with ourselves every day. And I love what you said about giving ourselves grace, because we sometimes we're not too kind to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right? And you have a girl. I have two twin girls. And what I tell my girls always is they're 11 years old now, and they tend to stress out too much. And what I tell them all the time is, if you cannot handle success, if you cannot handle stress, you cannot handle success. What's the lesson that you want Zoe to carry with her throughout her long life that she's gonna have?
I love that. That's great. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you cannot handle stress, you cannot handle.
I absolutely love that. My daughter does get really stressed out too. I think as a young girl, I think she's very much like I was at her age. She's very much a perfectionist. She very much wants to be the best that she can be, and not miss any deadlines. And she has a lot of activities, and she's always trying to juggle all her responsibilities. And I think I always tell her it's not the end of the world. I always say, look, we were all there. I was in your shoes once. This too shall pass. And it's easy to forget how at their age everything is magnified, right?
Yeah.
What to us seems silly to them is a really big deal. A fight with a friend, a deadline for school. So I think it's just about helping them manage the stress, helping them deal with it. My daughter, by definition, is easily stressed. She's very much a type A person, just like her mother. So I always just tell her that I'm like, you're just like I was, and I was fine, and you'll be fine too.
Yeah, that's right. And it's amazing how much I didn't realize it before, how much of an impact our lives have in our daughters.
Absolutely.
I didn't, because my girls do make me feel, and they're gonna be invited to a podcast soon.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Sometimes they make me feel guilty when I leave on trips. Well, not sometimes, most of the time, like 99% of the time. But I didn't realize how much of an impact what I'm building has on them and their view and their take on the world. And I'm sure the same happens with
Absolutely.
Zoe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, my daughter stopped giving me guilt trips about going on trips. So I kind of miss when she used to.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, you're not going to miss me. She's like, no, mommy, I'm really busy. She has more of a social life than I do. So,
Yeah.
but yes, I think it does have a big impact. I remember telling her, when she used to get stressed out about me leaving or about me working, I remember asking her, do you want me to work in something else? Do you want me to have another job? And she was always like, no, mom, you have a great job and you're so cool. You have to keep your job. And she was my biggest and is my biggest cheerleader all the time. And she loves that. And I get a lot of that from her friends too. They always ask me questions about work and they always tell me, oh, that's so cool that you do this and that you do that. And I want to travel when I have a job too. And I think it's great that girls have role models in their life that are doing things, that are pursuing their dreams. Because it was my dream as a little girl to be independent and to have a career and to travel the world. I remember I didn't go on a plane till I was like 14, 15 years old. I didn't go anywhere, And now that I'm an adult and I'm a mom and I travel a lot for work, but I've also had the privilege to travel a lot for fun.
Yeah.
And to share that with my husband and our daughter. And my daughter's been to more places than I could have ever dreamt of at her age. And she loves it. And I feel truly blessed that we can share that experience together.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And it's not just our kids, but I remember, probably you don't remember this, but I remember you shared with me several years ago and a time where you took especially your dad, to a premiere of a movie with Andy Garcia. And he felt so proud that he was there with the artist and he felt so proud of you.
Yeah.
I have a special admiration for your dad and what he's built coming to this country as an immigrant. And it's not just what we do with for our kids, but also for our parents that have given us so much.
Totally. My parents are, very traditional, first generation immigrants. And my dad was very hard on us when we were growing up.
Yeah.
He was very strict. He, was not the kind of parent that would say, great job, or I'm so proud of you. And I remember, in my early 20s, running into his friends out and about in Miami, and then them telling me, your dad is so proud of you. He doesn't stop talking about you. And I was like, really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
He never tells me anything. But I understand that's just, the way that generation is, you know, and of course my parents are proud of me and I'm thankful to them for the opportunity. They invested in my education since I was a young child and they always push me to be better. I think as the kids of immigrant children, that pressure to be better is always there, right? And I don't know about you, but my parents are always like, I didn't come to this country for you not to be great. You know, that's always been the attitude. And I find that that's a common thread among the children of immigrants across all cultures, right? If you look at, Asian Americans in the same way as Latin Americans, right? Like we all kind of have that shared experience, right?
Absolutely.
That, which, sometimes can be a lot. It's a big burden on us as children, right? Like the burden of, I didn't sacrifice. I didn't make this sacrifice so that, you would throw it away. It's a lot, but I think it raises a very resilient adult, right?
Yeah.
I think you grow up in a very specific way. And I think it's a very positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not an immigrant, right? So I don't have that as a parent.
Right.
But I do try to remind my daughter that those are her roots, right? And I do try to explain to her, how her grandparents left everything and they moved to this country and they sacrificed so that their kids could have a better life. And as a result of that, you have a better life. And again, I think being proud of that heritage, being connected to those roots is super important.
Right, absolutely. So Mel, we've shared many glasses of wine over the years. So I have a very strategic question. And we were talking about it before we came to the recording. Your favorite wine? And I know you're liking this Tempranillo.
Yes, it's pretty good.
What's your favorite wine?
Oh my gosh. So I actually love, there's a Spanish wine that I love. It's called Emilio Moro.
Yes.
And there's a specific one within that vineyard called the Maleolus, which I truly love. My husband and I had the privilege of going to Ribera del Duero to their vineyard and doing a tasting. And we actually met the granddaughter of Emilio Moro. And she was very nice and she hosted us. And I just feel a very special connection to that wine and I quite like it.
So Spanish wines for you?
I'm really into Spanish wines. Yes, I'm really into old world wines. I'm really into Amarone as well. Italian and Spanish wines are my jam right now. It kind of goes in phases.
Well, I wanna toast to you and to the great career, the great life that you built. Because being a mom, a powerful executive, and a wife, and everything wonderful and great that you're building for you. It's amazing. So
thank you.
Cheers
to you. To you, Andrea.
Yeah. So then as you progress in your career, you joined this wonderful global music recording label, and you have responsibility for one of the regions within it's the Central American and Caribbean region.
Yes. I am the president of the Sony Music Central America and Caribbean division. We are a division of Sony Music Latin Iberia, which means we are responsible for all of Sony Music's artist roster in the territory, in Central America and in the Caribbean. I am based here in Miami, and I have a team that's in Costa Rica, and I travel back and forth between Miami and Costa Rica as part of my job.
How many miles do you travel a year?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea, but I was concierge key last year, so that's how many miles I travel. A lot.
So you probably are over the 2 million miles?
Probably, somewhere in that vicinity.
To the moon and back, like a couple of times, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm a lifetime platinum at this point.
That's great. And so your job is really cool. You work with the cool artists and you've launched many new voices and talents. How does it feel to be such a positive influence in artists that are emerging, that probably you have given them the first chance, the first opportunity? And I truly believe in the power of first chances, first opportunity. I've had mentors and that are now mentors, but they gave me first opportunities, and those are so valuable. They really can change your destiny, your direction. And can you share with us a little bit about some of the artists that you've really seen them grow and evolve in their careers? And most people tend to just look at the big markets, like Mexico in terms of artists, but your region is really, really thriving in terms of artists.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what you said, Andrea, that's my favorite part about my job, right? I think artist development is so rewarding. Starting to work with someone really early on in their career, where you can see the seeds of what will eventually become full-blown talent, right? And it's very rewarding to work hand in hand early on and build something together, right? I recently had an experience with one of our artists from Panama. His name is Bosa. He's an urban singer-songwriter from Panama. And Bosa has steadily been growing as an artist. He's had 4 international hits. He's performed in many countries all around the world. But earlier this year, Univision had their Premios Juventud. It's an annual award show that they do for the very first time in Panama. The award show had never left the US, and they chose Panama as their first international destination because they partnered with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. And this was an amazing opportunity for Bosa to kind of serve as an ambassador for Panamanian talent on an international platform. And it was such a beautiful full circle moment. Watching him, he was fortunate to be a part of the opening number for the show, which was a combination of Panamanian artists from many different generations, kind of doing a tribute to Panamanian music. And then he had his own closing number where he performed a medley of his hits. And just watching him kind of have that first kind of big TV moment on an international stage was so important to me. I felt like a proud mom
Yeah.
And he got off that stage. He was so happy. He was crying from excitement, to watch everybody there in the audience, singing his music and cheering him on. And, the Panamanian flag came on at the end, and all the confetti and everything. It was a beautiful moment. And I'm so grateful that I was there to live it. But I'm grateful to my team that puts in the work, to make moments like this happen. And to artists who trust us, with their most prized possession, their talent, artists, that's what they have, right? They have their talent and they put it in your hands so that you can help them amplify it.
Yeah.
And it's a big responsibility.
It's amazing, Mel, how your face lightens up when you talk about talent and the artists. How many artists do you work with in your region?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. So the way that we work, we have artists that are local to us, that are signed to our roster. We have 6 local artists that are ours, are like our babies. And then we also are responsible for Sony Music's entire artist roster in our territory. So hundreds of artists of all, genres and ages. And, Sony is a company that has over 100 years of music in its catalog. So you can imagine it's a wide array of music.
Yeah. And what is amazing is how the industry has transformed itself, right? The consumer habits, how they've changed, right? From what it was 20, 25 years ago, when I'm of the generation of CDs, back then. So 2026 year, Mel, is going to be a pretty hectic year. It's going to be the year of the World Cup. It's going to be the year of hopefully where people will continue to evolve their habits in terms of consumption and so forth. So what's in 26 for Melissa? What's going to be 2026? What's going to be your year for? You built a great career. It's going to be the year of more travel. It's
unfortunately, probably yes. But I do want to focus on me a little bit. I think I want to go back to, health and wellness. I have a personal goal to kind of give myself a little bit more time and focus. It's important to take care of our bodies, right?
Yes.
If we don't have health and wellness, everything else falls apart. Yeah. So I would love that to be my priority for 2026. Let's see what happens. It's also going to be a hectic year. A lot of exciting things are happening at work that I really hope I can see come to fruition. So really going to be focused on that as well. And, I have a growing daughter who's going to be a teenager in 2026. So,
oh my God,
it's going to be an exciting year for us at home too. Lots of eye rolling and door slamming.
So we'll be cheering you on, very, very close on in terms of everything. I'm sure it will be very successful in 2026. But if we look back, we've known each other more than 20 years.
Yes.
So if you have an advice to give, not to Melissa 20 years ago, but to many, especially a younger audience, girls who are starting their careers and they are probably opening new doors, new chapters. What advice do you have for the male of 20 years and the girls that the younger generation that is watching us?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure. If it's just one thing, I would tell her, you got this, girl. Like, it's not that big a deal. You'll figure it out. I think, my 20-year-old self was really, really stressed out about life and about the future. And I wanted it all to happen all at once, right? As we always do. And I think with time, you realize that there's a time and a place for everything, right?
Yeah.
And the puzzle pieces will fall into place and things will happen when they need to happen. And you need to give yourself time and space to enjoy the ride, right? You got to work hard and you got to stay focused. And that's important. You have to focus on building those relationships and not closing doors. But you also have to give yourself, grace.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't easy for 20-year-old Melissa to remember that.
Yeah.
So, hindsight's always 20/20. So I would love to tell her that.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. I hope that your daughter listens to this podcast, because there are beautiful, beautiful insights here that you have to share. You talked about, Mel, the power of relationships, how much they influence your career, how much they influence who you are today. You've talked a lot about giving ourselves grace, which I think is so important, but we tend to forget most of the time about that. And you've talked about consistency, and sometimes I truly believe that consistency overpowers talent. You may not be the most talented person, but if you're consistent and if you're disciplined, that will take you farther in your career. Would you say that those are the three traits that have really helped you become the powerhouse that you're today?
I think so. I think I'm also very disciplined. I think I'm hardworking. I think I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and do the work, right? And I think I'm also patient. I think patience and perseverance are an important trait in any business, right? Because I think you have to have the patience to give things time, to evolve. I think what I see when I work with younger generations now is that patience isn't always there, right? There's a lot, and you really can't blame them. I think our world today is very much about instant gratification, and everything seems like it happens now, right now, right? And I think that feeling of, oh my God, I'm behind, or oh my God, it needs to happen right now for me, I think it's very prevalent in younger generations. And I think if you give yourself patience and perseverance, I think you'd be surprised at what you can achieve. And everything has a time and a place, and you're gonna get there, and you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, and you shouldn't be focused on getting there first, right?
And finding the right role models for where you are in your journey, right? Because not necessarily the role models are the influencers, right? And everybody has a different journey.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a different time.
Absolutely.
And a different path. Right? And learning that, I think it's so
absolutely. Yes. We all have our own journey, and it's not just about the destination, right? It's also about the journey, and what do we learn along the way, and who do we meet along the way, and all those things are so important, and giving ourselves the time to really relish those moments, right? I think that's key.
And so I gotta ask you, you deal with so many artists, so many genres that but which one is your favorite?
Oh my gosh, I don't have a favorite child. I can't pick. I can't pick. Teachers have their favorite students, but they can never tell them they're their favorite students.
Well, I gotta confess that I'm a big fan of country music.
What? That's so weird.
I know, right? A Colombian who loves country music.
Well, there's Colombian country music. I don't know if you know this.
Yes. But I love U.S. country music.
Okay.
When I really want to annoy my kids, I put the Miami country radio station 99.9 Kiss Country. And I have some favorite artists, but I think music has such a way, an effect on communicating people, regardless of the genre. It's just a really good way for people to bond, just like wine, right? To really be able to interact with each other. You may be dancing to Bud Bunny and you may not know the lyrics, but it's a way to.
But connect. It's fun, yeah. You feel it. Look at that. Bud Bunny was the #1 artist in the annual Spotify Wrapped worldwide, right? And he sings 100% in Spanish.
Yeah.
I think music connects across culture barriers, across language barriers, much more efficiently than anything else, right? Think about, comedy. Comedy is so specific to different groups of people and different cultures. It's difficult to connect with comedy cross-culture, right? Not impossible, but it's difficult. And music is just such an easy way to connect. If we think about celebrations, what's always present? Food and music, right?
That's right.
Even within Hispanic cultures, right? Country to country, sports is often a common denominator, but everybody has, their favorite team or their favorite, national team. So there's divisory lines there, but music is always present, and music is always a unifier. So that's what's so great about it.
And I know you're a big fan of Peruvian food. So I'll add to that really good alcohol in general.
Yes.
Because you have pisco, you have wine throughout Latin America. But Mel, just to wrap it up, and it's really an honor to have you here. What closing line or what advice you have for our audience? You built this great career, this beautiful family. What closing words do you have for us? Let's whine about it.
No pressure. I think it's so important to take ownership about for your own career, for your own professional development journey. Don't sit around and wait for someone else to build a career for you or to promote you or to tell you what your next step should be. Take ownership of that. And you can do that in small ways. You can do that in your everyday life. You can do that by taking on an additional project. You can do that by helping out a colleague with something that they're having trouble with. You can take those opportunities to be a leader and to take ownership over your own professional development journey throughout your career. And you might not always know where you want to go, but as long as you're moving forward and you're taking steps that are growth steps for you, then you're in the right direction.
I love it. Taking ownership and leadership.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Well, cheers to that, because you've done that throughout your career.
As have you.
Yeah. Well, let's whine about it. And thank you, Mel, for joining us. We have a little tradition.
Okay.
We have a little tradition. So every one of our guests signs the cork.
Okay.
And
I love it.
Yes, and then we'll deposit here in our little box. We have another box in Mexico where we've done many of our podcast recording. So thank you for this, Mel, and it's such an honor. If anybody wants to follow you or connect with you, where can they find you?
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Instagram.
Melissa Expósito.
Yes, Melissa Expósito. And on Instagram, I am MEXPO22. I am really bad at social media, so disclaimer, you're not going to find anything exciting, but you can definitely try to find me if you want to.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Let's whine about it.